everyone. Today we are excited about our guest, a giant in the insurance industry. I want to tell you from my experience, you would never find a more authentic, genuine, and caring person in insurance space. Today we have my friend Greg Albright from the Albright agency. Welcome, Greg, and how are you?
Oh man, I'm doing great, Andre. How are you?
I'm doing
Thanks
well,
for having
sir.
me.
I'm so glad that you're on today. I know our time is limited, so let's just dive in. Just tell our audience, how did you get in the insurance business?
Well, I've been in the industry about 7 years now, and the way I got in was I had a friend that was an Allstate agent for many years, and he sold his Allstate agency, and farmers recruited him to do some recruiting for them. But we were very close friends, and he came to me and said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to an opportunity I think you'd be great at." So literally, it took him about a year to convince me that this was the right business for me. So almost 7 years ago, I got my daughter to join me. We made the decision to open up an agency in Swanee, and we've been there ever since. And we've had a great run so far and great growth, and it's been the right decision. I wish I had done it 20 years ago.
So I want to ask you something, because sometimes we take on new jobs or new roles, and we're not sure. How did you know that this is the right thing for you?
Well, so I've been in sales for nearly 30 yees, and this is very much a sales and consulting type of business, where you have the opportunity to be of service to people. I just knew with my sales background and the way I approach sales, being honest about my product, whether it's a good fit or not, being able to tell someone it's not a good fit, because I'd rather have told the truth and always stand on the truth. And this is, like I said, it hasn't mattered what my product was. This is how I've always been as a salesperson. I've always known I'd have a lot of longevity by doing the right thing. This was just another product and opportunity for me to be of service, like I said, and sell a product and do the right thing by someone. I knew if I worked hard and I did the right thing, I would be successful.
Fantastic. So tell our audience, what are the services that you offer?
So we offer insurance coverage on homes, cars. We do commercial service. We offer life insurance. We offer coverage on boats, motorcycles, secondary homes, rental homes, and a host of other products, including even pet insurance.
So it's really comprehensive. You cover basically everything.
Yes. Yes, everything in personal lines and casualty, meaning business. We do a lot of commercial as well.
Okay, that's nice. So if someone is listening and they say, but I know there are a lot of insurance companies out there, but what's different with the Albright agency? What can you tell our audience what differentiates you from the competition?
So the main thing, and there are a lot of rules of thought, right? And there are a lot of very good agents that do the same thing I do, but then there are a host of others that have a different philosophy. My philosophy is we want to have a conversation with a customer, and we want to put them in the right coverage, regardless of price. The right coverage comes at a certain price, and that price may not meet with the customer's approval. But at the end of the day, the customer is who gets to approve whether the price is right for them. My job and what sets me aside is I don't worry about price as much as I worry about coverage. I let the customer worry about the price and let them choose whether the price for the right coverage is the right price for them. If it's not, I'm okay with them going to shop somewhere else for the right coverage, because at the end of the day, when the worst thing happens to an insured, I'm the person they're going to call. And if they don't have the right coverage in their policy, I'm not going to be of any benefit to them at their very worst time. And that's not acceptable to me.
And that's awesome. And too often you speak with insurance people, and their focus is to get you the cheapest price. And and from your experience, and as you know, is that in the end, if there's an accident, I mean, they're going to ask about their
Yeah.
coverage. You
Yes.
know,
I see it all the time, Andre. I've never had a customer call me at their worst time and they've had a loss. I've never had them call me and ask me how much they're paying. They always ask me if they're covered.
yeah,
And the answer to that is yes. I've had plenty of people not do business with me because the price wasn't right. But I've also had plenty of people call me and say, hey, I don't want to listen to all of that. What's your price? And they've just been interested in price. But what people do very often is they find out, they get a real insurance lesson when they have a loss to find out they don't have the coverage they thought they had, or they're not covered for an incident because they thought they bought insurance for everything, even though they were not willing to listen to an agent go over coverage with them, and they only were interested in price. But at their worst time, they thought they had the right coverage, and very often they don't. The best thing for an insured to do is have a conversation with someone, figure out the best coverage for them, and then feel free to shop around for a company that's going to be the best rated for you for that coverage.
fantastic, fantastic. And Greg, what tell us about your process. You know, I'm in the market. I'm looking for insurance agency. What's your
Okay.
process?
Well, the thing I want to do is if I'm talking to you, Andre, I want to find out some things about you, your life, what you do professionally, um, some of your financial goals. Even though I'm not doing financial planning, I want to find out about your family, your property, the things that are the most important things for you to insure. I want to find out about you financially because really people don't understand that my job is to protect whatever assets you've accumulated over your years of working hard. So for instance, if you have $250,000 in the bank, but you're looking for car insurance and you're choosing coverage that is the state minimum limit, for instance, because you want to just be legal. Well, my job is to advise you against that because you uh, accepting coverage of $25,000 in liability coverage is not going to protect you if you're in an at-fault accident and someone sues you. This is where that coverage is the most important. If someone sues you and they get a $150,000 award, but you only have $25,000 in your auto policy, the other $125,000 is going to come from your $250,000 of savings. So people don't understand it's not about insuring the car. A car we can replace for $25, $50, $60, $75,000. That's not going to bankrupt you. What's going to bankrupt you is if you have a judgment against you for all the money that you've worked hard to save, that $250,000 that you have in the bank, and let's say it's $1 million. You've worked a long time to accumulate that. Well, that's what I want to find out. I want to find out what you have, and then I want to set your levels of liability coverage in your auto policy, your homeowner's policy, to to a level that's going to protect those assets that you've accumulated. So we may not want to include $25,000 in liability coverage. We may want to include $500,000 in liability coverage in your auto policy. Sure, there's a premium increase associated with that, but that's going to cost you a lot less than if you were involved in an incident that was your fault and you were sued and you ended up having to pay $350,000 of your own money.
So based on what you're saying, you know, we should always assess the coverage amount, you know, when
Yes.
we're looking for insurance. Don't just
Yes.
focus on the cost, but look
Yes.
more about look on the coverage and what we, you know, will get if there comes an accident.
Yes. And never just focus on price. It's okay to shop around because different insurance companies are going to have different underwriting guidelines, and some of those may favor you more or less. I'm not saying that Farmers is the best to come to all the time, but certainly if you start with me, I am going to assess your need for the right coverage, and if that's not the right price for you, at that point I, like most agents, I'm okay with you going off and shopping somewhere else to see if you can find that coverage at a better price somewhere else.
That's great, Greg. Great information, and I really like the way you approach things from an education perspective, more than just
Yeah.
a salesperson perspective, and try to push someone into something that I would regret over time. But we're in the greatest pandemic of all time. How has COVID-19 impacted you?
Well, in many ways, like it's affected many Americans. In my book of business, I have many of my customers who have lost their jobs. So let's just start there. And they've called me and said, "Hey, I need to make some changes. What can you suggest?" So we've had to work with a great many of those to make some coverage changes, to do what we can to try and reduce the premium, make reschedule payments. There's been any number of those things we've had to do. We've also experienced customers coming to us to see if there's anything we can do to save them money during this time and move them over from other companies. Those are the main things we're seeing. This has certainly a financial impact on many Americans, and we're feeling it certainly in our agency as well.
Fantastic. So, will the coronavirus impact, say, one's ability to file a claim?
No, your things are happening in different ways. Farmers, like everyone else, many of our employees are now working from home. I think the biggest change that people might experience is if they call to report a claim, they may hear a dog barking in the background at this point, or a child crying because a claims rep is working remotely, that sort of thing. We've responded out to our insured's house a little bit differently. We've had to do some remote assessment of damage, things like that, because the insured may not be as comfortable with us coming to their house during this pandemic. But we've been able to. It hasn't slowed our claims process down much at all. It's just changed it a little bit, and we've had to be more creative about how we do assessments and approvals and then get the work done.
Great. What are the leading claims you're seeing at this time?
They continue to be the same. Especially on homes. Wind and water damage is probably the most common. From storms. So you have a lot of roof damage. Things like that. With cars, certainly during the pandemic, the number of accidents decreased. So we didn't see as many of those, and certainly not as many serious ones. Now they're on the uptick again. Now that the country isn't shut down anymore, everyone's back to accidents as usual. so we're back to dealing with. It seems to be a sense of normalcy in the number of claims that are coming through, and the types of claims, types of accidents, things like that.
So basically, you're saying you're not seeing any variation, because I would have thought that even this pandemic, people are driving less, so
yes.
Maybe that it would have impacted claims from that perspective. But you're saying it's like the same.
During the pandemic, certainly auto claims were reduced. We
Okay.
weren't seeing as many because people weren't driving. But now that the country isn't shut down anymore, people are back to accidents as usual, right? So it's on the uptick, and people are back on their cell phones. Prior to the pandemic, and certainly after, we are seeing significant increases in auto claims, auto accidents, things like that. Especially because people are using their cell phones, in their hands, distracted driving. Things like that continue to be an issue all around the country. So,
yeah. So I lived on the West Coast for a period of time, and I moved. I'm now here in Georgia. Why are insurance coverages so expensive here?
285 is actually it's noted as one of the deadliest highways in the country. So it has that title, and so you continue to see accidents here. Not only that, this is one of the uh, this is one of the I would say in the top 10 um, you know, uh, uh, states in the country for awarding drivers a settlement or judgment due to injury. So it's one of the leading injury award states uh, in the country. And listen, to validate that, can you turn your TV on at all without seeing an ad from an attorney? Can you drive down the highway without seeing a billboard for an attorney? Can you turn your radio on without hearing a radio ad from an attorney? And many of the ads don't sound like, especially on the radio, they don't sound like the injured party is hurt with the big celebration they're having as their award is announced. It has become the new lottery. I joke all the time and I say to people, hey, if you want to meet a lottery winner, just hit someone from behind. So um, this is one of the highest bodily injury award states in the country. It continues to be. So the number of lawsuits that coupled with the number of accidents, it's hard for the insurance company to keep up. Not just around the country, but here. So you continue to see rates increase, not because the insurance company is greedy, but to get to profitability, you have to at some point outpace, what you spend. You have to, our goal is to, I think, to make 4 cents on the dollar at some point. We're still losing money. And so, like a lot of companies in the market, you're trying to balance that and at some point maybe it levels off, but you continue to battle with the number of distracted drivers, the number of accidents, the number of lawsuits and claims, and not to mention the amount of fraud that exists out there as well. And that impacts all insureds. And people, believe it or not, sometimes the doctor gets sick also, right? The insurance agent is also an insurance customer. Mm-hmm. So it impacts my rates as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's great info there. And I'm telling you, I was shocked when I moved out here and I saw my rate just spiked, But yeah. Great. I want you to tell our audience, what's the biggest misconception about insurance?
So some of the things that I spend time trying to educate, and especially up front, one of the biggest misconceptions about the insurance company is that they'll do anything to get out of paying a claim. I was in a class once, and there was a question in that class, an ethics question, and they asked, how many people do you think distrust the insurance company? How many people do not trust the insurance company? And I said that number has to be over 60%. And it was some 70% of the people do not trust the insurance company. Okay. And then they asked a question, how many insurance agents do you think trust the insurance company? And I said that number has to be over 90%. And that number, some 94% of agents trust the insurance company. And that's because we're on the side of paying claims. And, during our meetings and everything that we do, what we talk about is how to restore someone at their worst time. That's what we collect premium for. We collect premium so that we can restore someone when the worst thing happens to them. So the biggest misconception is that the insurance company is not to be trusted. We're a group of individuals that do a very noble job. But what we really want to do is make sure we do the right job up front by making sure you have the right coverage, because what you can't do is you can't write coverage on the car after it's wrecked. You can't write coverage on the house after it burns down. That has to be done up front, right? And so that's why one of the things that people like to do the least is talk about insurance. They don't want to spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes up front talking about it. It's boring. They already know, and that's a big misconception also, is people think they know insurance, and most people just really don't. But those are the biggest misconceptions, is people think they already know, and they think the insurance company doesn't want to pay.
But you can agree though, there are some insurance companies, they drag their feet. Sometimes and obviously it's not your company. Sometimes you put in a claim and they take a while to get back to you. So like anything, even in my industry, like other digital marketing agencies, they may make it bad for companies by doing the wrong thing and not servicing their customers the right way.
Yes.
So I would think that's where that misconception is coming from, where people just believe that the insurance company will take my money, but when it comes to a claim, they always drag their feet, and we just can't get things done.
Sure. I see it across industry, right? Not just in the insurance industry.
Right.
The individual that you get that's representing the company is the company to you. And, no one ever says that the person, they never use the person's name at Farmers Insurance. They might say, Farmers Insurance let me down, when that individual did it, right? But rightfully so, that individual represents Farmers, or represents AT&T, or represents Verizon. Whoever they represent, they're represented in that individual we're dealing with. So we all say the company name rather than the person that let us down. That's something that's I take very seriously. When you're talking to me, you're not just talking to Greg Albright, you're talking to Farmers Insurance. And when I bring you on, you just joined Farmers Insurance, but you joined the Albright agency. Service is as important to me as it was when I chased you to make you a customer. So whenever you call us, and here's where the agent makes the difference. We believe if you call us, and our motto in our office is, if you have to call us again for the same thing, then we have failed you. You should be able to call us once, put whatever it is in our hand, and we take care of it from beginning to end. And that's service. So no matter if that's a claim, whatever it is. And this is part of the reason why every one of my insureds has my cell phone number. I speak to agents all the time that would say, I never give out my cell phone number. My customers are very respectful. No one has ever called me because, when they didn't have some emergency of some sort. But I'm a believer in what I do, just for the nature of what I do for a living, is I handle emergencies. And emergencies, people don't get to choose when the emergency might occur. It might be Christmas Day, but I answer my phone. And this is what I feel our insurers deserve. So when it comes to service, as far as the insurance company goes, individuals make the difference, agents make the difference, and I don't think I have anyone out there that's had a different experience than what I just described with my agency.
That's great. So, Greg, there are different thoughts when an accident happens. Some people would say, take some pictures, take a video before you do anything else. From your perspective and for our audience, in an event of an accident, what is the first thing they should do, or what are the series of steps they should take?
Well, unfortunately, you should always call the police, because too often there are different perspectives on how the accident occurred, that sort of thing. So you need an unbiased third party to come and make a determination, and oftentimes that's that party is the police. The other thing you should do is you should gather information. You should take pictures. You should take a picture of the person's driver's license and insurance information. I can't tell you the number of times my insured has called me from the accident scene, and I have answered my cell phone and have been able to give them those same instructions, and then later taking care of their claim. They're so thankful that I was available. And because many times also, if they're not injured, obviously we're speaking if someone's not injured and they're coherent. Um, but people are still shaken up during an accident. They're still nervous. They still are not clear of thought and exactly what to do. So I've had many insureds, because I have many insureds that have accidents. I've had many insureds call me from the accident scene, and even during those times, I'll describe one was a pregnant mother, and the car was totaled, and she couldn't get in touch with her husband, and he had the insurance information, and the police was at the scene, and I answered my cell phone, and she was crying, but I was able to call, and the husband was on the way to the scene, and we were able to, in the background, go ahead and take care of some of the things we knew we needed to take care of for them. And that was where to have their car towed to, things like that they wouldn't have to think about while they're at the scene. But yeah, those are some of the things you want to think about. And if you have an agent that you can call who has a cell phone that will answer the phone, do that too.
Definitely. So you want to call the police, and you want to take the pictures, and as you mentioned, you want to call your agent if you have that cell phone.
Yes.
So Greg, I know we're time runs by so fast. We're coming down to the end of the podcast. So tell me, where do you see the insurance industry in the next 10 years?
So things are changing a lot, right? You've got self-driving cars. I think that's going to be a wave of the future. There might be something that starts to bring insurance rates down at some point when there are more and more of those on the road. Right now, and looking out a little less than 10 years of, we got any number of drivers coming up behind us, in 10 years from now. And I'm wondering if driving habits are going to be better or worse. Right now, it's very difficult to change the driving habits from what they are right now. I'm wondering if there's an end in sight to rate increases, the number of accidents, the number of distracted drivers for various reasons. We have more electronics, we're more aware, we have more distractions, more very little downtime, and too many impulses while we're driving. Andre, it's just really difficult to say that things will be much better in 10 years is a short time.
Yeah, you're right. Things can go either way. I hear this all the time. People who say, "I'm just paying insurance every year, and it's going up and up and up. I'm not making any claims, but it's going up." Tell our audience some of the ways that you help keeping that price at a certain level.
Yeah, so most of it's going to be, the insurance habits that do that. But the farmers has come up with innovative ways and a series of discounts, things like that the good driver can take advantage of, like safe driving certificates that add discounts, like driver monitoring apps that we have that allow those people that are safe drivers to get as much as 15% discounts off their already good rate. So there's some of that. We answer calls in our office to help our insurers decide if the incident warrants filing claims. By looking at their deductible, looking at the estimate on the repair cost. We have talks with our insurers about those sorts of things, and if it's going to be an advantage to file a claim or not. And we're glad to file claims for any of our insurers that want to file a claim. But through having those discussions, you see rates increase when you do file claims. So if you can avoid it by having a conversation with me and deciding whether it's advantageous to file the claim or advantageous to pay, for the incident directly, because it matches your deductible, or it's $100 over your deductible, it may be advantageous for you to just pay it, right? But if we've got something that's a couple thousand over deductible, things like that is our conversations that we have with our insureds all the time to help them make those decisions and keep their rates low.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Greg, I want to shift gear a little bit here. If you can tell us one thing in life that you need to invest more in, what would that be? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
You really put me on the spot. One thing in life I need to invest more in. The thing that I probably think of every day is how I can be better at not just decision making, but handling some things that may surprise me or catch me off guard, or handling things better that might impact other people. So I really am cognizant of how someone felt after interacting with me. That might be a new person, that might be someone in my office, but I'm always trying to think of how to be a better me for others, if that makes sense.
No, that's
and the
that's
thing
great.
that I can invest in, and I can give more of myself to someone. And I think of this as youth that may not have access to someone like me that might be able to guide them and give them guidance as they are trying to navigate life themselves. I grew up in very meager means and without a dad. So the thing that I could probably invest more in is giving of myself to kids like that.
Yeah, and that's a great answer, Greg. And I want to tell you, by you just being who you are, you're impacting a lot of people. So that answer was fantastic. So before we go, I want you to paint a picture of your ideal client.
So my ideal client, the people that we have the best rates for are people that own houses and cars, right? My ideal client, though, is the client that I brought on board after having an extensive conversation with them, and we've gone through everything that I need to protect for them, and they come on board knowing that we've done the right thing for them, and they come on board with us knowing we've done the right thing for them, premium aside, cost aside, but we've got all of their property insured properly. So if the worst thing happens and they make the call to me, Andre, it's very surreal when someone calls you and they tell you their house burned down. And as an agent, my responsibility is to go now. Sure, the fire department's been there to put it out, but I am the person with the money to show up in their driveway while they're crying and they're saying, are we going to be okay? And I can say with all conviction, because I know the coverage, yes, you're going to be okay. If everyone's gotten out alive, it's a very traumatic situation and it's very heartbreaking. But I can't tell you the feeling of rebuilding someone's house and putting their life back together.
Interesting. And just a fantastic conversation, Greg, and a great insight into what you do. So how, for our audience, how can we reach you?
Well, they can reach me through, certainly you can call me at 770-212-9089. Our office is open from 9 to 6, Monday through Friday, and it's fully staffed. And you can always email me at galbright@farmersagent.com. So
Great. That's great, Greg.
Yes.
Greg, it was a fantastic conversation. I learned a lot, and that's why I love to talk with you, because you're big on education and educating your clients and potential clients, and you did that on this podcast today. Thank you so much for being here, sir. Appreciate the chat, and talk to you soon.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm not in front of the camera a lot, and who knows, a star may be born.
I think so. Is
that right? Well, I'm ready for all those casting directors out there that see me.
Definitely.
They know how to get in touch with me now. So.
All right, sir. Fantastic. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Andre. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.